Hello and good morning, Brewsters. I'm Mix Bustos, welcoming you to our first episode of this special web series to kickstart your day. We'll be speaking to all kinds of people on how they've gotten a great business or career idea off the ground and flew with it. Stories of resilience amid the pandemic. Ways to get off your mind, to get your mind off rather, your worries today that will get you off your feet and look forward to tomorrow. And this is Brewed Awakening. All right.
Kaya kapit lang, kapit lang. Kapit lang, kapit lang. Huwag kang bibitaw, huwag ka namang lumisan. Kaibigan, ko'y nandito lang. Kapit lang. Kapit lang, kapit lang. Sa bawat dilim ay may liwanag. Bawat pagsubok may pag-asa. Asahan mong di ka mag-iisa. Kapit lang, kapit lang. Kapit lang, kapit lang. Huwag kang bibitaw, huwag ka namang lumisan. Kaibigan, ako'y nandito lang. Kapit lang, kapit lang, kapit lang.
All right. So as you see a teaser video of what we're going to talk about today. Of course, marami tayong pinagdaanan, guys, during this past couple of months. And today we are going to have a very special guest that will talk about that song, mental health, and everything else in between to be able to show ourselves, show ourselves or show to the world rather our passion, show to the world our stories of resilience, and at the same time, of course, to kickstart our Monday, to kickstart our week with brand new motivation. But before we tackle today's Rude Awakening topic and introduce our guests, let me first introduce to you our show sponsor, of course, Kickstart Coffee. When you combine love for coffee with business savvy, you get one of the Philippines' best coffee brands, and Kickstart goes way back. Kickstart Coffee goes way back because Enrile and Evelyn Asuncion started the company in 1977, turned it into a coffee export giant by the 80s, and has since become a staple for every coffee-loving Filipino. Their son Michael, or Mike, took over the helm in 2010 and has taken the family business to new heights. So just a quick intro of what Kickstart Coffee is. It has actually three variants. So you'll see this in stores or maybe in or online platforms as well. This is the staple variant. This is Brewed Awakening, called Brewed Awakening 100% Premium Arabica. If you want a milder touch, you have this also, your Daily Lift. It's in yellow. That the packaging is in color. Your Daily Lift, balanced, full-bodied, and mild. So if you want a little bit of mild tasting flavor, you go with that. And of course, the Barako, Philippine Barako coffee. It is, of course, strong, bold, and smooth. So you can get Kickstart Coffee in three variants all over the grocery stores and also on online platforms. And of course, this is Brewed Awakening, brought to you by Kickstart Coffee. And now, let me introduce to you our special guest for our first episode. He is known for bringing some of the biggest international acts to the Philippines and putting together some of the best events in the country has ever seen. With the pandemic putting the Philippine party scene on the sidelines, Stephen Koo is now pursuing his other passion, making his own inspirational music, which he hopes will light a spark among Filipinos. And you saw the music video a while ago. That song is called Kapit Lang. And to talk more about this, Stephen now joins us here on Brewed Awakening. Stephen, good morning.
Morning, Migs. Cheers.
Morning. Cheers to our Kickstart Coffee. Maraming salamat, Stephen. Okay, so when we talk of Stephen Koo, of course, for the benefit of our viewers, one of the first things that will come to mind, of course, is the nightlife and the party scene. But then, Stephen, I know you go all the way back when it comes to mounting events, when it comes to music. So can you tell us more about who Stephen Koo is?
Oh wow, that's a very broad question, but I'll try to no, I'll try to answer it as best I can. Well, my background really is events. That's how I started, even before nightlife. And I started this back in college when I was in the student council. I was tasked to do events to raise funds for the school. So that's how I learned, and then it became a passion of mine, and it became a business. But then on the side, I was doing music. So I was in a band singing professionally for 6 years while I was doing my events business. So basically, the two things, passion and purpose, merged together, and that's how I eventually got into nightlife. Because of course, when you're doing events, you're able to experience how to throw parties. You're able to see what works with people, and then couple that with music, which is of course an important element of nightlife. You get a formula for what we have now. So in the Palace Group, that's really the purpose. I mean, it's really what makes us, I guess, successful in our field is because most of the partners, if not all, are really passionate about what we do.
Now, when you were first starting out this scene, maybe a
Mm,
couple of years ago, kumbaga trailblazer kayo, Stephen, right?
yeah.
So it hasn't been really done before when it comes to this kind of industry. How was it like in terms of entrepreneurship when it comes to business? Was it an easy path, or was it, you also experienced different kinds of struggles when you built into this industry?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it an easy path, but I also wouldn't say it was hard. No, I guess you could say we were lucky. We were at the right time, right place at the right time. When we started nightlife, we started the disco scene had just ended, so all these big discos at that time, like mga Faces, mga Euphoria, Mars, they were all dying. And people really just wanted to go to bars. So when we started throwing big parties again in these bars, it was medyo a little bit unheard of. And then these small parties eventually became the big parties, which became the nightclubs. But when the first nightclub was built, it was more of a build it and they will come type of mindset, because we didn't really know if we could fill up a 500 capacity nightclub at that time, and that was already considered a super club.
Yeah.
So yeah, so part of it was really talagang a vision, foresight. Part of it is luck. But somebody once said that luck is when opportunity meets preparation, diba? Um, so that, and then of course finding a problem to solve. They always say don't build a business unless there's a problem to be solved, and at that time we felt that nightlife was missing something. It didn't have enough soul, and the Filipinos at that time were just looking for something. So you solve that problem by providing them an outlet.
Now, of course, when you fast forward
Mm.
from then and now, diba? Of course, with COVID-19, with the pandemic really hitting home, and it affected industries such as the events industry. How has it been, Stephen, from your perspective for these
Ooh.
past couple of months?
Well, during the pandemic, um, we were first out, and it looks like we're last in. So, kumbaga, parang kaming captain of the ship. We're the last out then. Kasi obviously when the virus hit, nobody could do events anymore because of social distancing, and up to now there are still no live events. So we took the initiative as a company to really pivot right away. So I mean, that's been my principle as a business person and as a person in general, that when times are hard, when crisis hits, pivot right away. Don't think about it. Don't wait for it to normalize, because people who wait for things to normalize are normally the people that eventually realize it's never going to normalize, right? And they're stuck in a rut. So we pivoted and now we're trailblazing virtual events. So we're doing a lot of mga virtual conferences like Digicon. We did Digicon for the past 2 years. We did it live, and then all of a sudden overnight we turned everything online. And you know what? We were surprised. There were actually more attendees. There were more speakers because now there's no limit. You can be anywhere in the world and you can be a speaker in a conference, right? So there's a lot of benefits actually. But then, of course, there are the downsides, which is our budgets are cut and all of that. But you just have to look at the opportunities in crisis. And we also took the opportunity to organize ourselves. So I'm currently the founding president of the League of Events and Activations Agencies of the Philippines. We were a very busy, industry to even organize. But because of the crisis, all of a sudden, all the big agencies, big and small, nationwide, we've all come together to really, create set standards for industry and save the industry.
How is that like from your perspective? Of course, we're talking about now, di ba? When we've completed some projects. Pero syempre, during the first parts, March and April, that pivot, yung sinasabi mo nga na pivot, na, alam mo, naging madali ba? Naging struggle ba siya? Like, how was it like amongst your partners? And how was it like from that perspective?
Well, let's put it this way. Before the pandemic, I was already at a stage in my life where, I was already starting the album again. So I actually have a full album under Warner Music Philippines. And I was about to release the full album. Kasi nga, medyo relax na ako. Eh. So what happened was, because of the pandemic, now I'm back to startup mode. Para akong, startup, nag-umpisa ng business. Kasi, I have to be on the ground with my team, right? My people. I can't just, I have to be an example to them. Otherwise, they'll be like, why do we have to pivot and why do we have to learn if our CEO is, not doing anything? So I was the first one to study everything, all the technologies, live streaming, virtual conferences, lahat. I studied it first and then my whole team followed. But it was very immediate, actually, right? March pa lang. So I would say that we're one of the few agencies that really took the initiative to study technology right away.
I want to talk about the struggles and, of course, battling mental health. I want to talk about these things that normal people, ordinary people, rather. Ordinary people, you can be here, you can be there. You can be, working, you can be a medical health worker, and etc. But now I want to get it from your perspective and then also tie it with Kapit Lang, you're single. Personally, Stephen, what did you have to go through during these past couple of months? Like what we go through also?
Well, okay. Well, first off, even before the pandemic, I would see this as I already saw this as a pandemic that was growing because even in my company, the people that work with me, family, friends, most of them are going through something like this. In fact, the people that are not telling you that they're going through it are the ones that are going through it. So I just really felt a strong urge to talk about it, and it came in the form of music, which is really my passion, right? So me and my good friend Top Suzara of Freestyle, I'm sure you guys are familiar with him, also a great hit maker.
Yeah.
We came together before the pandemic and said, hey, let's write a song. I can't release the album, so we might as well write something else. So we said, what do we write about? And Kapit Lang just flowed. And we literally wrote the song in 30 minutes, music and lyrics and all. And we just really wanted to reach out and talk to, it's like a friend talking to somebody na Kapit Lang. And that's really what's missing nowadays is that your friends and your family are there for you and you need to talk to them or they need to reach out to you. So Kapit Lang is an ode to that. It's really somebody talking to you. And when I found out through Hopeline, which I'm an ambassador of Hopeline, I'm working with them, that there was a surge of 200% of calls on the suicide hotline during the pandemic. Imagine 200%.
200%.
Yes, and the age of people calling are going as young as 8 years old. So
8 years old?
Yes.
Wow.
And 8 years old and going up naman, mga seniors. So I was like, guys, we're on lockdown, yes, but people are not seeing, and maybe the government's not seeing that there's actually a bigger pandemic that's happening. In fact, in some cities, there are cities that have more suicides than deaths to COVID. So I don't know if you know that. And in Southeast Asia, we are #1, if I'm not mistaken. A lot
Yeah.
of the suicides kasi are not reported kasi yun na naman our culture, the families, pag suicide, huwag mo na i-report, sasabihin niyo
Yeah.
sa hospital.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like, sorry, I mean, like, I ramble on with these things, but
No
it is
worries.
a
Yeah.
pandemic. It's a pandemic, and I feel like people should be talking about it. And when I was at home, I personally experienced anxiety. And these are mental health problems, and you don't know it. I thought I was having a heart attack. I went to the doctor. I checked naman. Everything was checked, and I was good. But I really felt I was having a heart attack. So these are manifestations of what mental health problems are. I'm sure.
I get
80.
that, Stephen. I
Yeah, I'm
get
sure
that. I
you
get
get that.
that. I get that. Yeah. I'm sure that you said that doon ako nakarelate, manifestations of a heart attack. When you feel some anxiety, Stephen, di ba parang sometimes naninikip yung dibdib?
Yep. Minsan
Right?
magigising ka in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't know if it's just like a heartburn. I don't know if it's something that's related to something. But upon chancing on maybe some personal struggles, diba? I'd also like to share, of course, with what you said.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you think of something, diba, when you overthink of something, na parang sometimes nag-manifest siya sa physical. And sometimes you think more than you should. Diba? And yeah, minsan physical. And yeah, what you mentioned about what you wrote, kapit lang, because we will play it again. I'd like to talk naman about the visual elements that you shared in the video. So Lem, our production assistant, will cue that in. Well, if you saw that a while ago, yung mga visual elements na nasa music video of Kapit Lang talks about certain individuals. Right? And I would like to ask about these, the profile of these certain individuals and how you depicted, diba, more or less the message of this song. So if you could play that.
Sige. So we're gonna play the visuals now para while we're talking about it.
Yeah, while we're talking about it.
Sure.
We're waiting on Benny and Lem. Anyway, so while we're waiting for that, of course, Stop to Sarah is you mentioned also, syempre, from freestyle lead vocalist and a brilliant songwriter.
Super brilliant, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so here's actually the music video.
Yeah.
So we'll just play it for a bit and we can talk about it.
Mundong ito ika'y nagbibigay ng kasiyahan.
I like what they did there, this song.
Marami nang nagmamahal sa'yo. Kaya kapit lang, kapit lang. Kapit lang, kapit lang. Huwag kang bibitaw, huwag ka namang lumisan, kaibigan. Ako'y nandito lang.
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright. So thank you so much, Benny and Lem. Alright, so Stephen, can you talk more about the music video on how you directed it and wrote it?
So basically, we did the song during the pandemic. I recorded it during the pandemic. Naka-PPE ako and everything. And being a brand person, being a marketing person, I wanted the song not just to be a song. I wanted it to be a campaign. So after the song was recorded and Warner released it, I had already talked to 8 of my friends, all directors. Some of them I just actually met for this campaign. And I said, hey guys, we're doing something for mental health. And I have an idea to create 8 stories of different scenarios of mental health. And if you could all shoot your parang short films, and I'm gonna put them all together, and then I'll also release your stories one by one. Everybody was on board because I think all of them were also had an experience when it comes to this, and they all shot it in isolation actually. So one is in Palawan, one is in Caliraya, one is stuck in Anilao, one is stuck in their house. Kumbaga iba-ibang scenario. So
sila nag-choose sa mga sarili nila.
They all shot themselves. Yeah. Some shot themselves. Some shot people around them.
Yeah.
So the visuals that you see are actually from 8 different directors. I'll name them. To acknowledge them also. Xander Angeles, JC Helidon, Terence Angshoko, Struan Wallace, Manny Angeles, J.R. Besa, sino ba? Wait.
Okay
Rafi
na, too many to
Francisco.
mention. Too
Oh,
many to
Rafi
mention.
Francisco and one more. I need to mention one more para kompleto sila. I'll get back to the last one. But they're all great directors. Paolo Valenciano. So now we're releasing their visuals one by one, but it's really all about showing what's happening and how they're able to cope up with it. So yun yung story talaga niya. And then we tied up with Hopeline because we're helping Hopeline raise funds because I don't know if you know this also, but Hopeline is privately funded, but now they're running out of funds. And they're the only super legit na suicide hotline. So when they're gone, if they're gone, then there's no hope because they're the only ones that can really help people going through this.
Not to play favorites or anything naman. Pero siguro amongst those 8 scenarios in the music video, what resonated with you the most, Steve?
Resonated, not the best because I love all of them. Maganda
Yeah, of
yung
course.
anong friend ko si Manny Angeles, yung with the puppet. Kasi the way he expressed it was he's the guy that in that video yung nasa bathtub naka snorkel and naka diving mask and then may puppet. So the way he handled his depression or being isolated was he created content to help other people. So through the puppet. So he created his own YouTube channel and all of that. So yun. So I think I resonate with that because that's why we started that show called Restart, and that's why we're pushing Project Ripple, where Brewed Awakening is right now. Also, it's because we wanted to create content that would be positive and that would help people during this time, and it was also my outlet. Kumbaga, it was also helping me by helping other people, and the same goes with the song I made because I wanted to be productive, but I wanted to be productive with a purpose, diba? So when I created the song, I wanted it to really help people. And yun.
Sige, can you talk more about Project Ripple?
Project Ripple naman was a startup I founded a few years ago. It wasn't really intended for, it wasn't really a business, but it was a platform for pocket inspiration and learning. So I noticed nga because a lot of the millennials, especially, they're misguided. They lack drive. They lack motivation. A lot of them are depressed. Diba? I don't know. I don't know if you've seen this around you or if you had experience like this, Wig. So I wanted to create a platform that could help them or give them inspiration. So we would interview a lot of mga key opinion leaders. We would create content like Restart and this show Brewed Awakening, so that people can just learn from Filipinos. Kasi a lot of the time the content that we see online are foreigners, mga Americans. So parang it's so hard to relate, diba? Pag nagsasalita si Steve Jobs versus say a Filipino who did really well. So yan.
Kaya siya talaga yun nga. We want that relatability, diba? We want that people that we could resonate with to be able to gain more inspiration. And wishing all the best for Project Ripple. Pero yun nga, when we talk about these struggles, when we talk about our own battles, diba? For you, Stephen, meron bang concrete ways? What do you do, to overcome what you're going through?
For me, it's really music. Music has always kept me going all through these years. When I feel like I wanna give up, I'll write something. Kunyari, even if it's about a girl, I want to give up on a girl. I'm feeling bad, down. I probably got, I rejected or whatnot. I channel it to music. And automatic, because it becomes productive and it becomes something that can even inspire others. It becomes a positive. So positivity is really an important thing in my life. I've gone through a lot of challenges, both in personal and in my professional career. So I would say channel it with passion, and of course a lot of prayer. Having faith, especially right now. It doesn't have to be Catholic faith if you're not Catholic, but just have faith in something. You gotta have something to believe in. Parang kanta yun.
Where can we? Yeah. Where do you think we can find positivity from your perspective? Kasi mahirap maging positive ngayon. I mean, when we just talk about, diba, what we see, everything that's happening.
Yeah.
Diba? How do we channel that?
Well, to start off, don't watch anything that's negative. I mean, I think after the first month, I stopped watching the news. Not because I didn't really want to be updated, but because the news talaga, diba, I mean, you're in with ANC. I'm not saying don't support news channels, but don't watch it to a point where it becomes an obsession. 90%
Yeah,
of the news, 80% of the news is bad. So
yeah,
automatically, before you sleep, if you're watching news before you sleep, you're gonna absorb that. So that's one way. The second is really looking at the silver lining of things. Everything that's negative, I tell you, and I shit you not, everything that's negative has a positive. You're going for this girl. Pinakamababaw, you're going for this girl, na, for example, surfer or whatever she is, and then you don't get her. It's about failure. But possibly you could have learned how to surf. Diba? But you have to look for that silver lining. It doesn't come to you like that. So for a lot of people, this pandemic has been, in silver lining is they found themselves, being with family, the time they never spent, all these things. Just look for that. And I think that will really inspire you to be more positive than negative. And of
I
course,
wanna
prayer.
yeah. I want to get your thoughts, of course, on the recent tragedy, on the recent calamities. Of course, Ulysses, the has affected so much, so many Filipinos. I want to get
Yeah.
your thoughts on that, Stephen.
Yeah.
Where were you during that time, and at the same time, what is your take now on what's happening and how we
Well,
should get back?
I like this. Medyo, okay, we're gonna get a little bit more. I don't want to get political, but like,
Yeah,
I think there's no more space or time for yung mga, tingnan mo, tama si Gina Lopez. Of course, tama si Gina Lopez. We all know that already. But unfortunately, we live in an environment na ganyan talaga, so we have to make the most out of it, right? So, ang ayoko lang is yung puro resilience. I'm one of those guys na parang tama na yung resilience, guys. Alam na natin, resilient ang Pilipino. I think it's really time to move. So now we're actually organizing a fundraising campaign under LEAP, the League of Events Agencies. And I'm seeing so much bayanihan going on all over the country, despite the fact that everybody lost their jobs, pero lahat tutulong pa rin, magdo-donate pa rin, pupunta talaga ron, magre-rescue. So I think it's action now is what's needed. And in the future, diba, if you guys really don't support the people that caused this, then don't vote for them, diba? I mean, lalo na yung mga nandun, diba, mga naapektuhan. If you vote for the same leaders, then I don't know. I mean, maybe this will happen again, right?
Mhm. Well, of course, I don't want to really get too political when it comes to that sense. Pero, I mean, parang ondoy kasi ito di ba, Stephen? Walang mahirap, walang mayaman, walang
Yeah.
politiko, walang businessman, walang empleyado. You're right about the story of resilience, and at the same time, we know, alam na natin yun di ba? But at the same time, but in that kind of position, diba? Can you talk more also about the efforts of your group, and at the same time how?
So since we're in events, the easiest thing for us to do is really come up with fundraising events, diba? So since we are a league of all the agencies, in mga around 2 weeks, it should be done. The event should be up. We were planning to do it this week right away, but then we wanted to make sure that all the details were correct. We wanted to make sure that whoever we're gonna send the donations to, would be deserving of it. Because meaning when I say deserving, like we have the assurance that it will get to the right people. So we're planning out everything right now, but within 2 to 3 weeks, not 3 weeks, 2 weeks, the event should be up, whether it's a virtual event or it's a hybrid event. It's also meant to show that the live event sector is alive and that we're here to help in nation building. Kasi the live events industry is a really huge industry that was only recognized now during the pandemic kasi nakita nila maraming na-displaced. Over 500,000 plus jobs were lost. 1.32 billion pesos of revenue was lost. So yeah, we're here to be part of nation building, and this event, this fundraising event, is going to be our ambag, or our chip into
Mhm.
the whole process.
Of course, shout out to everybody that we see on Facebook and Instagram, everybody organizing their rescue efforts, their relief efforts, and of course, praying for all our kababayans who were affected by Typhoon Ulysses, of course, in Marikina, the upper parts of Philippines, in
Grabe
Cagayan,
yung Cagayan,
Cagayan
no? Grabe
region.
sa Cagayan.
Oh, grabe. Yes, in Tubigaraw. So, praying for everybody po. And of course, we are with you when it comes to, of course, praying for you guys to, of course, to be para makabangon, and at the same time para to get our lives back. All right,
Mhm.
so now let's go back now, Stephen, to strengthening our mental health. We don't know. I like to say this, hindi pa natin makita yung light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Yeah.
But what do you do now? Diba? Where are we now? Where should we be now when it comes to sustaining, or maybe when it comes to strengthening ourselves, even if we don't see the light?
Um, from an institutional perspective, I think first is it has to be recognized properly. I know there was a mental health act that was passed, but I don't know how accessible it is. Like, can you actually go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist using your health card? That's one, no? The second part is to really talk about it. And that's why I wanted the first song that I made, to be about that, because I hope other artists get inspired to sing about it, to talk about it, to make movies out of it, so that it becomes there's a public light that gets shown on it. Naman, when things get talked about, it becomes normal. Meaning normal, hindi na siya taboo. Right
Yeah.
now, maraming nagtatago kasi nahihiya sila kasi baka isipin ng tao sira ulo sila, 'di ba? Yun na naman yung mga jokes about, baka sa Mandaluyong ka. And
Yeah.
it's these jokes that make the mental health problem even bigger, because then the ones that have it are scared to be ostracized, right? So
Yeah.
so institutional reforms, and then it's about everybody talking about it. And of course, on a personal level, I think you should really check up on your family and friends and your coworkers. Kahit walang symptoms, just check up on them, because I think that's important.
Ang pinaka-apektado yata tayo lahat talaga, Stephen, of course, is COVID. Diba? Ako personally, I've had loved ones, I've had people close to me who contracted the virus, and I think this may still be taboo. Or do you think, from your perspective, taboo pa rin ba when we talk about COVID, when we talk about someone getting COVID?
No, honestly, it's coming to a point where you have to live with it. Kasi the collateral damage of the virus is becoming bigger than the damage of the virus itself, di ba? Hospitals are reporting more deaths due to other illnesses, heart attack, diabetes, suicide, because they're stuck at home. So the question now is, where does the pendulum, the balance change, right? If you have so many people that are being affected other than COVID, are they less important than the ones dying of COVID? So so that's why sabi nga nila, you have to live with the virus. You have to live with the disease, because if we keep hiding, baka lalo tayong nawawala ng mga mahal natin sa buhay.
Ikaw ba personally, Stephen, nung siguro at least yung mga March, when government announced that there will be ECQ, everybody will be in quarantine, ikaw ba personally, tingin mo na aabot sa ganito when it comes to dealing with mental health?
Mental health. Okay, akala ko
Yeah.
about the pandemic itself.
Yeah.
I had a feeling,
Parang,
because before the start pa lang, 'di ba, I already felt that there was a pandemic of mental health, and sabi ko, pag nag-lockdown, mas lalala pa to. And true enough, after talking to Gene Goldburn, who started Hopeline, I found out all these information, and lalo akong na-inspired to really help push the awareness for it.
Yeah. All right. So, of course, Stephen Koo, when we talk about Stephen Koo, king of events, and at the same time, songwriter also, of course, with his single Kapit Lang. Stephen, can you tell us more about your plans, at least for the near future? And of course, you can plug your projects and give a shout out to the people that help you and you're in collaboration?
Okay. Well, for the music side of things, check it out on Spotify, all the streaming sites, Apple, iTunes. Meron pa bang MySpace? Wala na. But YouTube, check out the video on YouTube under my channel. And we're coming up with some collaborations in the next couple of months. Hopefully, we can release the full album, which is already done. We just don't want to release it yet now because nga, parang it's not timely because everybody is stuck at home. Then there's no gigs anyway. But stand by, watch out for that. And on the business side, of course, there's Eventscape if you need any of your virtual events. So yun na yung plug ko.
Lastly, Stephen, sorry if I'm going to ask this, of course, in your industry, as an expert in your industry when it comes to live events and the party scene, meron ba kayong projection, at least in the near future, or maybe 3 to 5 years?
For the nightlife scene, honestly, it's going to take a while. I think the nightlife scene will get back on its feet as restaurants. So the nightlife establishments that have restaurants combined, yan, magiging restaurant muna sila. Socialization kasi will be limited to, parang tables. Like, how you are in restaurants, but with a nightlife vibe, just like back in the early days. And then eventually when there's more confidence in the vaccine, people will start, being more open to more crowded spaces. So we're looking at around siguro another 6 months for nightlife to fully be back to normal. And that's assuming that the confidence in the vaccine is there. No, I'm not in any way advocating vaccine, but I'm just saying in general, that's how the market behaves pagka may mga ganitong scenarios.
All right, so there you have it. Of course, can you check out Stephen's single on YouTube. It's called Kapit Lang, written with Top Suzara. And of course, a follow Project Ripple and everything ng ginagawa ni Stephen when it comes to events, virtual events. You can just hit them up for your needs. Maraming salamat, Stephen, for your time here.
Congratulations on Brewed Awakening. This is a good effort to have coffee talk like this in the morning, diba? Hopefully, it goes on for a lot of seasons so that you can inspire more people. And thank you for having me on the first episode. I'm super honored. Thank you to producer Benny and Kickstart for having me.
Kickstart. All right. So maraming salamat, Stephen. Cheers to that, Stephen, with Kickstart Coffee. Maraming salamat. All right. So the kettle has whistled. Before we go, we'd also like to thank the guys behind Project Ripple. And Project Ripple is a movement that aims to inspire passion, productivity, and purpose through a learning platform. We'll see you again next Monday, same time, for another episode of Brewed Awakening. I'm Mix Bustos. Guys, keep safe, stay safe, and God bless.